saw during this last week, perhaps in a Hail Mary chance to be the next mayor, a very racist ad.
I apologize for the harm that was caused as a result of that ad. That's exactly why I listened and we took down the ad.
So tonight, the Seattle mayoral candidates went toe-to-toe for the final time before Election Day on Tuesday.
Candidates addressed a controversial ad campaign, SPD funding, and public safety in the city of Seattle. King 5's Chris Daniels is joining us live with the recap. Chris?
Yeah, Jessica, this was the final televised debate between both candidates for Seattle Mayor, Lorena González and Bruce Harrell. It was specifically on public safety and public health. But as expected, both candidates addressed a controversial ad backed by González, which attacked Harrell's handling of the Ed Murray scandal at City Hall. But first, they addressed their plan for policing and then the ad.
I am the public safety candidate for all people in this city. I have worked on gun safety laws. I have increased services to those who are suffering from gender-based violence.
We were talking about increasing our investments in public safety, but not a militarized unit. We're talking about building some new kinds of public safety officers.
It does show that I am a reflective individual, that I listen, and that I'm willing to learn. And the fact remains in this instance, however, that my opponent did in fact work to shield Ed Murray from any kind of consequence, political or otherwise.
I stand with survivors. And what we saw during this last week, perhaps in a Hail Mary chance to be the next mayor, a very racist ad, but what we saw that was more important and more inspirational is we saw thousands of people come up and say to the González campaign, stop that. That is divisive.
The hard work of evaluating what the right size is about outcomes, and the outcomes for me is about making sure that our children come home at night and don't suffer police violence.
Under her chair for the 4 years, crime went up 22%. We have to understand that. We had the worst homicide rate we had in 26 years, and they are still talking and perpetuating the narrative, let's defund the police by 50%. I will reimagine police department with this city.
González called her ad at one point a, quote, missed opportunity and said she was deeply sorry. It's unclear just how much of an impact it will have on the race. The only legitimate poll showed González down 15 points to Harrell, and that was before that ad came out. So let's bring in our King 5 News political analyst. Ron Sims is the former King County executive who also served in the Obama administration. Scott McClellan is the former White House press secretary under George W. Bush. And let's start with you, Scott. What's your initial take on what you witnessed tonight with this debate?
Well, I think you kind of touched on it there, that the one poll that we do know that's public, that's out there, shows Harrell with a lead, and I think you kind of felt that tonight, that he probably has a slight edge going into Tuesday, 4 days from now. And those first couple of questions right off the bat went straight to some of the key points that have risen in the last week, and the first one was the ad, and I don't think that González particularly wanted to spend a lot of time answering why she had to pull that ad and apologize for it. She tried to transition it back to put it on, hey, he's the one that was shielding Murray, but I thought González pretty effectively answered that and said, I wasn't defending him. I support survivors, and then when she's pressed on a couple of questions, she tried to shift it to other things and not really answer those directly, whether it was defunding the police or was that ad racist in nature. And then you see Harrell coming back and quoting a third party and what that third party had to say about some of González's past stances and so forth.
Ron, what'd you think?
I think when you apologize for an ad, you know it was wrong, and I think she had to agree that it was a racist ad and it should not have been run. But what surprised me about this debate was really interesting. They spent a long time talking about mental health and the mentally ill, but that is the domain of the King County executive, and not once did they talk about walking across the street and sitting down with the county executive and developing a strategy to make sure that the people who are mentally compromised are not on the street as victims or as perpetrators of crime. And that surprised me. Matter of fact, I didn't hear one time that they were going to talk to any other government. Seattle cannot solve every problem on its own. And there are partners, I think, that would embrace Seattle's issues and should be talked to.
At this point in the race, with just a few days now before Election Day, Ron, in about 15 seconds, do you think a debate like tonight really changes minds?
It does, no. It changes some minds. I mean, yeah, I've never seen anybody who had a deficit in regards to when you're projecting how the voters are going to vote, make up that difference in a debate like this evening. But I've also seen people surprisingly close a debate and do really, really well and actually generate some momentum for their campaign.
Scott, quickly, same question. Do you think this changes minds?
No, I don't think it really changed anything. I didn't see any dramatic change in terms of direction. You see in this last week that González is really focusing on the character and integrity of her opponent. I think that does show that they feel that they're behind and they need to, as Harrell said, do a Hail Mary type of attack, and backfired on her earlier in the week. And so she's trying to, but she's still going after him on issues of character. If you look at some of the latest ads and some of the things that she's challenging him on, while he's focusing on leadership and competent leadership and practical solutions.
Scott McClellan, Ron Sims, they are King 5 News political analysts. We'll check in with you later on in the hour. But for now, Greg.
Chris, thank you. If you'd like more information on all the key races, you can check out the King 5 voter guide. Just text the word VOTE to 206-448-4545, and we will send you a link.